Welcome back to our channel, where we provide updates and undisclosed narratives on Catherine, Princess of Wales and her royal family. We provide you with the exciting news, Prince Andrew's dark secrets revealed by royal staff. Shocked everyone. According to a report, Prince Andrew, Duke of York, has officially asked that a jury trial be held in a court located in the state of New York. The seriousness of his situation was thus indicated by this. It is beyond a doubt that he has denied any and all charges of sexual assault. His reputation has been irreparably damaged, and the British monarchy has been gravely upset as a result of the official reaction, which was a key stance in a narrative. The House of Windsor is always surrounded by drama, but it has never been more destructive to a particular person, as it is on this particular occasion. Despite the fact that Prince Andrew was formerly revered as a war hero and the Queen's preferred son, he is now mostly connected with controversy in the news. There are a multitude of scandals that have cast a shadow over his once respected royal character. These scandals include his affiliation with Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted sexual offender, which is quite disturbing, as well as ongoing charges of wrongdoing that refuse to go away. The loss of a royal family is often a contentious and turbulent event. All things considered, the collapse of the Duke of York has evoked more public wrath and contempt than the decline of other individuals. At the beginning of the year 2022, the Crown made a big and humiliating move towards him by cutting off all formal relations with him. In addition to having his honorary military titles and royal patronages withdrawn, he was also forbidden from using the title His Royal Highness in any public setting. This was a public humiliation that had never been seen before in contemporary monarchy, and it was meted out to a person who had been nurtured in unmatched luxury. A different, more personal story was taking place in the midst of the worldwide attention that was being paid to high-profile litigation dramatic headlines and Jeffrey Epstein's questionable connections. This story was taking place not in courtrooms or tabloids, but rather inside the sacred boundaries of Buckingham Palace. This tale was not written by attorneys or journalists. Rather, it was written by a former royal maid who worked behind the scenes of his everyday living. She is known by the name Charlotte Briggs, and in the year 2022 she disclosed information about Prince Andrew's private life that was so damaging that it made earlier scandals seem to be of little consequence. The prince's public fall from grace was not an accident, but rather the result of a character that had continuously shown arrogance and entitlement, as revealed by her testimony, which offered insight and revealed that the prince's fall from grace was not an accident. Is it possible that the story told by this particular insider is the last blow that irreparably ruined his reputation? From the perspective of the maid, there is an abundance of teddy bears and outbursts. The year 1996 marked the beginning of Charlotte Briggs' tenure in Buckingham Palace. An individual from Yorkshire who was 21 years old felt that she had won a one-of-a-kind career opportunity that would provide her the chance to see history firsthand. At first, her job was very typical. She was responsible for cleaning offices, getting rid of rubbish, and navigating the whole estate, which was rather large and complex. During the whole of this initial time, the royal family made a number of little acts of kindness toward her, which added to her feeling that she was heading in the right direction. As a young member of the staff, she remembered that Prince Edward had once surprised her by holding a door open for her. This was an act of generosity that she had not anticipated receiving. For a period of 6 months, her labor was difficult but not insurmountable. As a consequence, Briggs said that the royal staff detested the responsibility of attending to Prince Andrew that they were assigned. It was a promotion and a display of trust that she was looking forward to, but it quickly turned into something that she would later characterize as a nightmare. Andrew had reached the age of 36 at that point in time. He had just finalized his divorce from Sarah, Duchess of York, and was now staying on the nursery floor of the palace, which was his previous residence of choice. According to Briggs, despite the fact that he was an adult, a decorated combat hero, and a senior prince of the realm, he acted more like a pampered kid than a battle hero. The first time that his infamous rage manifested itself was when he grew enraged about a little subject, which was the process of drawing the curtains in his bedroom. It was alleged that Andrew, who was sitting at his desk just a few feet away, refused to shut them without being asked. While he was giving Briggs instructions, he told him to continually climb and descend the stairs leading to the staff corridor until they were accurate. When a sliver of light seemed to make its way through the thick curtains, his rage surged. "Can't you do anything correctly?" he yelled at the young maid, according to the reports. With tears in his eyes, Briggs was unable to comprehend how something so little could elicit such intense fury. That this was not an isolated incident was something that she disclosed to The Sun in the year 2022. It was not uncommon for employees to have tantrums while they were at work. It was clear that he had unwavering and unchangeable expectations. The arrangement of his bed had to be conducted with military precision, with the pillows, which were embroidered with the royal crest, being placed precisely in the middle of the bed. He needed to make sure that his pajamas were placed properly. His preoccupation with his collection of teddy bears was perhaps the oddest feature of his personality. Briggs said that he was compelled to arrange his huge collection of stuffed animals in a certain arrangement on his bed each morning. This was a requirement every morning. It was reported by her that if Andrew made a mistake, he would get quite fuming. His behavior was a clear example of hypocrisy to her. She fondly recalls thinking to herself, despite the fact that he served in the Falkland Islands, this individual is unable to shut his own curtains. Her relationships with other senior royals were quite different from her experience with Andrew, which was a striking contrast. She referred to Prince Charles, who is now officially known as King Charles III, and Prince Edward as exceptional. Princess Anne, on the other hand, had a more subdued approach, keeping her distance in a way that was serene and courteous. Andrew, on the other hand, was the rotten apple, the person whose behavior ruined what may have been the most remarkable achievement he had ever produced in his whole life. Despite the difficulties that were encountered on a daily basis, there were times that appeared amazing. On a certain day when Briggs was participating in Trooping the Color, she found herself positioned on the royal balcony. Briggs received $600 on a monthly basis. The time she was on a state visit when the late Nelson Mandela, the president of South Africa, suddenly embraced her is something she will never forget. However, Andrew's minor despotism was the driving force for her creation, despite the fact that she was ostentatious and formal. As a result of the presence of Sarah Ferguson, the prince's ex-wife, his personal life became even more complicated. Briggs said that even after the couple divorced in 1996, Andrew continued to have a spiritual connection with his ex-wife, even if they did not have a physical relationship as well. It was her assertion that her wedding gown had been properly maintained and stayed in his closet. On his dressing table, her cosmetics and toiletries were precisely placed, giving the impression that she may come back at any time. Despite the widespread idea that the prince had emotionally developed, Briggs found the shrine to be uncomfortable, since it provided unmistakable evidence that the prince had not moved forward emotionally. Almost 20 years passed before Briggs's story became public knowledge. She made the decision to express her worries in the year 2022, which was around the time when the legal processes that Virginia Giuffre was facing in the United States were having a negative impact on Prince Andrew's life. She was forced to engage in sexual encounters with the prince throughout her teenage years, according to Giuffre, who said that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were responsible for her trafficking. These statements have been vigorously and persistently challenged by Andrew from the beginning. The public's impression of Briggs was significantly enhanced by the fact that he had recollections of a prince who was difficult and unstable. In their portrayal, they portrayed a guy who expected complete allegiance, but did not exhibit any compassion in return. The typical succinct answer that Buckingham Palace offered in response to Briggs's accusations was, "No comment." This defense approach has been used for a considerable amount of time to ignore, to endure, and to anticipate the dissipation of the uproar. It is more common in the 21st century to see silence as a kind of affirmation than as an act of honor. Not only did the substance of Briggs's discoveries contribute to their effectiveness, but when they were articulated was also a significant factor in their effectiveness. They appeared at Andrew's lowest point, so bolstering the notion that the individual who had previously stood confidently beside his mother on the balcony was not a victim of destiny, but rather the architect of his own demise, a manifestation of entitlement, validation, and supplementary assertions. Charlotte Briggs was not the only individual to reveal the Duke of York's peculiar inner realm. Paul Page, a former royal insider, corroborated her account of his affection for soft animals. Page, a royal protection officer at the palace from 1998 to 2004, contributes to the ITV program Ghislaine Prince Andrew and the Pedophile. He said that the prince's bed was adorned with perhaps 50 to 60 stuffed animals, and that maids were provided with a printed plan indicating the precise placement of each bear. Page said, if the maids failed to arrange those bears correctly, he would vociferate. This parallels Briggs' observation of the prince's irascibility over little matters. Visitors to the palace who were not part of its inhabitants saw the prince's peculiar behaviors. In 2019, writer Elizabeth Day recalled attending an interview at Buckingham Palace. She saw a large teddy bear positioned on an ornate chair in the corridor as she waited. Upon her subsequent inquiry to Prince Andrew over the matter, he reportedly smiled and said that it was a wedding gift from his former spouse, Sarah Ferguson. In another context, what may have been an unusual, poignant narrative transformed into something peculiar and juvenile when juxtaposed with years of proof of his demanding nature. Andrew Loney, a prominent royal biographer, has exacerbated the situation in recent years. The Daily Mail published excerpts from Loney's ongoing probe, revealing that the prince's conduct towards employees was not only exacting, but also harsh. In a concerning incident, Andrew reportedly shouted at a top palace employee, referring to him as a fucking imbecile due to a minor error in royal protocol. The incident purportedly occurred in 2005 during a severe storm in Northern Ireland. Andrew inquired of David Anderson, the person overseeing Hillsborough Castle, the official residence of the monarchs in the region, about the extent of the castle's devastation. Anderson provided a candid reply, stating that a tree previously planted by the Queen Mother had been felled. Anderson received no empathy. Rather, he was met with a frigid, piercing silence. Andrew allegedly ridiculed him by mockingly referring to him as the Queen Mother. "Did you refer to the Queen Mother, Queen Elizabeth?" The prince furiously admonished him. He subsequently interrogated the staff member regarding the duration of his service to the royal family. Anderson stated he had been in service since 1984, to which the Duke reportedly exclaimed, "And you still do not know how to address my grandmother, depart." Loney asserts that the prince often berated palace attendants with demands such as, "I want this accomplished, and I want it accomplished immediately." Commands were unequivocal directives, not just recommendations. Failure to adhere to even the slightest regulation may result in public humiliation. Loney's investigation examined Andrew's strained relationships with the younger royals, particularly his nephews, Prince William and Prince Harry. A contentious report alleged that Andrew and Harry engaged in a violent altercation. The account described a heated dispute initiated by Andrew's purported derogatory remarks about Meghan Markle, whom he referred to as an opportunist. According to Loney's source, Harry confronted his uncle, escalating the argument until Harry struck him in the face, resulting in a bloody nose for the Duke of York. This startling claim was promptly and vehemently refuted. A representative for the Duke of Sussex said that the account was laden with egregious inaccuracies and harmful and defamatory statements. They also asserted that Prince Harry and Prince Andrew had never engaged in a physical altercation. Nevertheless, the accounts from maids, bodyguards, and biographers have gradually undermined the portrayal of a hitherto esteemed monarch, revealing a depiction of an individual who is too self-involved. The Epstein connection. The controversy that destroyed the prince. For an extended period, Prince Andrew was shielded by his status. However, within the palace, he cultivated connections that ultimately led to his demise. His affiliation with Jeffrey Epstein, a notorious American businessman and convicted sex offender, constituted the most significant detriment to his reputation and the catalyst for his public disgrace. Ghislaine Maxwell, a British socialite and daughter of the infamous media mogul Robert Maxwell, introduced Andrew to Epstein in 1999. Andrew has maintained a friendship with Ghislaine since her collegiate years. Initially, this association appeared to be a typical aspect of high society. Observers frequently noted Andrew Epstein and Maxwell together as they navigated a realm of opulent mansions, private jets, and exclusive gatherings. The strength of their camaraderie was evident. Epstein and Maxwell were even invited to Balmoral the Queen's private residence in Scotland, underscoring the significant access Andrew afforded them. In 2008, Epstein was convicted in Florida for soliciting a minor for prostitution and for soliciting a prostitute. This was a significant turning point. Such an allegation should have unequivocally terminated any association. However, Prince Andrew did not sever ties. In December 2010, 2 years later, compromising photographs emerged depicting the prince nonchalantly unlocking the door to Epstein's New York residence. Additional images captured the two men strolling together in Central Park. The photographs were detrimental to you. Andrew later asserted in his renowned BBC Newsnight interview that this visit aimed to permanently terminate the relationship. However, released emails indicated an alternative narrative. In February 2011, 2 months after Andrew claimed to have ceased all communication, his staff dispatched a note to Epstein urging him to maintain close contact and alluding to prospective social engagements. During this period, a photograph emerged that would epitomize the scandal: a grinning Prince Andrew, with his arm around the waist of 17-year-old Virginia Giuffre, then Roberts, while Ghislaine Maxwell smirked in the background. Andrew would be plagued by Giuffre's allegations for the subsequent decade. She claimed that the prince sexually assaulted her 3 times while she was a minor under U.S. law, once on Epstein's private Caribbean island Little St. James, once in Maxwell's London residence, and once at Epstein's Manhattan abode. Andrew has consistently denied the allegations, asserting that the incidents never transpired. However, Giuffre's resolve and the photographs perpetuated the dispute. By 2019, following Epstein's death in a Manhattan prison cell while awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking charges, all attention was directed towards Andrew. He opted to publicly defend himself, resulting in one of the most disastrous royal television interviews in history. On November 16, 2019, Prince Andrew attempted to dismantle Giuffre's account during an interview with Emily Maitlis of the BBC. The discussion was disastrous as he presented a series of peculiar and ridiculed justifications. He claimed that Giuffre's assertion of his excessive sweating at a London nightclub was implausible due to a medical condition he attributed to heightened excitement during the Falklands War, which rendered him incapable of sweating. Furthermore, he asserted that he could not have been present with her on the night of the alleged London encounter because he had taken his daughter, Princess Beatrice, to a birthday celebration at Pizza Express in Woking. The provided justifications were nonsensical and appeared almost farcical. He exacerbated the situation by exhibiting a startling deficiency of empathy for Epstein's numerous victims, whom he merely recognized as an afterthought. An immediate and substantial backlash ensued from the public. The interview failed to rehabilitate his reputation. Rather, it obliterated the scant public trust he had remaining. Shortly thereafter, Andrew announced his intention to step back from public duties for the foreseeable future, stating that his association with Epstein had become a major disruption to his family's obligations. The institutional reaction and a legacy in ruins. For a while, it seemed that the Queen supported her son. During Prince Philip's funeral service in March 2022, she let Andrew escort her into Westminster Abbey, a poignant but controversial display of maternal allegiance. However, her assistance could not avert the impending events. In January 2022, during Giuffre's legal proceedings in the United States Buckingham Palace, responded decisively. The palace issued a definitive statement. With the Queen's consent and endorsement, the Duke of York's military affiliations and royal patronages have been reverted to the Queen. The Duke of York will not undertake any official duties and is contesting this lawsuit as a private citizen. The humiliation was profound. He forfeited esteemed titles such as Colonel of the Grenadier Guards and Honorary Air Commodore of RAF Lossiemouth, among others. This decision followed an open letter from over 150 British veterans to the Queen, urging her to revoke his military responsibilities due to their belief that he was unfit to serve. Subsequently, a settlement was reached. Andrew and Virginia Giuffre finalized a financial agreement out of court in February 2022, mere weeks prior to his scheduled sworn deposition. The arrangement included no admission of guilt. However, Giuffre received a substantial monetary sum, along with a significant donation to her foundation that advocates for victims' rights. The precise amount was never disclosed, although various sources indicated it could be as high as $12 million. The settlement raised a pressing and uncomfortable inquiry: what was the source of the funds? There was much speculation that the Queen and later King Charles had used their own finances to rectify the very embarrassing situation. The palace remained silent, and the cloud of uncertainty persisted. Andrew's circumstances have significantly deteriorated since the death of Queen Elizabeth II. Reports indicate that King Charles III intends to downsize and modernize the monarchy. The disgraced Duke of York does not align with this vision. There are claims that the king has been exerting pressure on Andrew to vacate Royal Lodge, the expansive 30-room residence in Windsor Great Park, where he has resided for the past 2 decades. Gradually, Andrew's public life has deteriorated. The compromised emails, the photograph with Giuffre, the disastrous BBC interview, the forfeiture of his titles, and the multi-million-pound settlement all portray him as an individual ensnared by his own poor choices. The war hero has become an outcast. The transformation of a prince, from national treasure to Randy Andy. To fully comprehend the extent of Prince Andrew's decline, one must recognize the elevation from which he descended. His narrative commences with a notable distinction. He was the first offspring of a British sovereign in 103 years, born on February 19, 1960. He was the Queen's second son and third in the line of succession until the birth of Prince William in 1982. He and his siblings were educated by a governess prior to their enrollment at Heatherdown School in England, and subsequently at Gordonstoun in Scotland, the same rigorous boarding institution attended by his father and eldest brother. It is rumored that he acquired the nickname the Sniggerer at Gordonstoun due to his penchant for sharing risque jokes. In 1979, he embarked on a distinguished trajectory by enlisting in the military. He joined the Royal Navy and acquired skills in helicopter piloting. In 1982, a significant historical event unfolded when Andrew's squadron was deployed to the aircraft carrier HMS Invincible in response to Argentina's aggression towards the Falkland Islands. British officials concerned about the potential political ramifications of the Queen's son being killed or captured reportedly sought to reassign him to a desk position. However, the Queen insisted that he remain with his ship. Andrew undertook sorties as a Sea King co-pilot, participating in anti-submarine warfare, serving as a missile decoy and facilitating rescues. Upon HMS Invincible's return to Portsmouth, the Queen and Prince Philip were present to greet him. He was regarded as a national hero, a courageous and handsome prince who valiantly defended his country in combat. In the 1980s, he was dubbed Randy Andy, due to his attractive appearance and naval career, a reference to his reputation as a womanizer. His liaison with American actress Koo Stark garnered significant tabloid attention, but ended under palace pressure. He wed Sarah Ferguson in an elegant ceremony at Westminster Abbey in 1986. Andy and Fergie emerged as the most fashionable and modern couple within the monarchy during their tenure as the Duke and Duchess of York. The marriage deteriorated due to the pressures of his naval career, which necessitated prolonged absences, and the relentless, at times harsh media scrutiny of the Duchess. They separated in 1992 and subsequently divorced in 1996, following the emergence of compromising photographs of Sarah with her financial advisor, John Bryan. Despite their divorce, the couple maintained a close relationship and cohabited at Royal Lodge while rearing their daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. However, this proximity also resulted in various scandals, the most notorious being Sarah's involvement in a tabloid sting operation in 2010, during which she was observed accepting money in exchange for facilitating the prince's access to her. Andrew assumed the role of the UK's Special Representative for International Trade and Investment following his departure from the Navy in 2001. His associations with dubious foreign figures, including the son-in-law of Kazakhstan's autocratic leader and a son of the deposed Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi, repeatedly raised concerns regarding his judgment. This position, which involved extensive global travel, also maintained his proximity to Jeffrey Epstein. Ultimately, a prince in exile. Prince Andrew currently exists in a state of royal limbo. He retains the title of Duke of York and his place in the line of succession, despite campaigns in York advocating for its revocation. Although he is a royal by birth, he is effectively an outcast. He appears at family gatherings as a spectral presence on the periphery of the image, yet he is excluded from the balcony, the symbolic core of the monarchy. His account serves as a contemporary admonition regarding the discord between power and responsibility, as well as the discordance between an antiquated sense of entitlement and the rigorous examination of the present era. Colleagues describe him as prone to juvenile outbursts, exhibiting peculiar demands and displaying considerable unkindness. These character flaws, which played a significant role in his public demise, likely existed prior to the emergence of the names Jeffrey Epstein and Virginia Giuffre. Despite his persistent claims of innocence, his reputation lies in tatters, with his legacy irrevocably characterized by scandal, humiliation, and denial, rather than his naval service. He remains a significant source of ongoing embarrassment for the monarchy, and rectifying the situation is far from straightforward. As the institution transitions to a new king, the disgraced Duke of York contemplates not if he can reintegrate into public life, but rather how much more of his troubled past is yet to unfold. Thank you for watching the video. Please let us know your thoughts, and goodbye for now.